Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. Today we are diving into players we require as injuries do transpire again, and we got to understand what the matchups are. Week 4, waiver wire, must-add players is the topic of conversation, and we will get your teams, revamped, get some more bench stashes, and make the round out of your rosters that much better. We're talking running backs right off the map, man. It is Devin off the A-chain, my guy, Devin. You go back down to the playlist with all the scattering reports that I do. I give grade scores for all these guys in the lab, breaking down their film, understanding who they are. Devin A-Chain was my top 5 running back coming out of this draft class, and he proved it. Go check out all those scattering reports. I'm telling y'all, man, still much relevant content for y'all right now. But Devin A-Chain, he goes off the chain. 50 points, man. He goes over 200 rushing yards in this Miami Dolphins offense. He looked damn good, man. This is a track team here in Miami, and they're going to continue to show out with a McDaniel calling all these creative plays with all this motion. Yes, they got Mostert, but you cannot, even if Salvin Ahmed does come back from his injury and he finds his way back to the roster in playing time, Devin A-Chain showed out exactly why you cannot keep this man in the barn, collecting dust, because this guy is just too damn good. He is your top running back waiver wire addition. You're going to be spending lots of fab dollars on this man. Jerick McKinnon, he finds his way back to fantasy reliability, at least in matchup play, because he finds his way into the end zone. And Patrick Mahomes is going to start looking in his direction, I think, a little bit more once again. PPR upside was always here for a McKinnon. It's just the usage is sparring, and that's the biggest problem. Can we trust it week in, week out? Highly likely not. But, at this point, at least, we got to get running backs on our bench to at least supplant potential injuries and poor matchups for our running backs. McKinnon is back on the radar. Matt Breida is on the notable addition list only because of Saquon. We got to understand if Saquon's going to play this week, it is potential. Saquon does sit again, even though he said he's likely going to try to suit up, even though he had, 10, 11 days of rest. So Breida is on the list, but wait and see for what's going on with Saquon Barkley. Zach Charbonnet. These Seattle Seahawks look damn good on the ground, and it is still Kenny Walker the third's backfield to lose, but at least we saw some sprinkling of touches for Charbonnet. And he's trucking players. He's a damn good running back. And at this point, we got to discuss for the rest of the remaining list of running backs that I do have here on my board. It is all about the handcuff. So as we're week 4, as we get to week 6, week 7, injuries will go down and more splits will take place. We got to get these handcuffs on our roster if you have room, okay? If you don't be selling the farm for these running backs. But if you do have room, it is handcuff week for me, man. Charbonnet is definitely one of these guys. You miss out on A-Chain, Charbonnet is number 2, because if anything happens to Kenneth Walker, you got an instant running back 1 in Charbonnet. Eli Mitchell right now is the wait-and-see product because CMC is just tearing up the league. But if CMC goes down with any type of injury, we know Eli's going to be there. But Eli's got his own injury troubles, as his career has shown. But, Eli Mitchell, definite handcuff for me. Likewise with a Tajay Spears. Derrick Henry did not look good. Yes, okay, he is the cyborg. He will bounce back. It was a one-off likely. Everyone's saying he's done. But it is this offense in Tennessee, like we were saying. What do they want to be, man? This is the biggest problem. They got no identity. They're not even using D-Hop. Tannehill looks rough. So if they can just stack the box and Derrick Henry's not going to be able to run, maybe they start to use a little bit speed game with a Spears. Keep him on the waiver right now unless you got lots of room to add him right now. Roschon Johnson. Love me some Roschon, but this Chicago Bears offense looks dreadful, and until they figure it out, I don't think we're going to have reliable, point productivity from this running back unless he finds his way into the end zone. Matchup play is going to be massive for a Roschon, but 40% ownership, 25 points, definitely still on the radar right now. Likewise with Tank Bigsby, finds his way into the end zone. Very good handcuff for a Travis Etienne as well. Usage is not the best, even though we're hearing rumblings that Doug Peterson is going to start taking over play calling duties, which is great news because right now what we're seeing from the Jaguars just is not cutting it, and Tank Bigsby is a favorite running back of mine. This man, if he gets more touches, you're going to see the volume increase. He's a volume runner, y'all. He's getting to that momentum, and he's going to start making plays. Zeke Elliott finds his way back on the list only because Bill Belichick saw enough with the poor average per carry for a Ramondre Stevenson, and he took over. It's not going to be consistent overall. This still is Ramondre Stevenson's backfield, but Zeke Elliott has proven enough that he can still carry the load when called upon. Jones from the New Orleans Saints, running back. Yes, we got Alvin Kamara coming back this week, but the positive news is, okay, the negative news is that Jamal Williams is on IR. The positive news is that we could use Jones still in this offense, potentially even with an Alvin Kamara, because they will split touches, but the usage will go extremely down for a Jones. So, I mean, pick your poison there. Justice Hill and Damian Harris are notable additions for me. Damian Harris right now, James Cook looks damn good. Second leading rusher in the NFL before Monday Night Football, before DeAndre Swift went off. But I'm telling y'all, man, Damian Harris is going to be, the MO for Harris and Lat Murray is closing out contests and goal line upside, no kidding. Quarterback, C.J. Stroud, my guy. Like I said, go down to these scouting reports, and you'll see exactly what I was talking about. C.J. Stroud, he was my number one quarterback coming out of this draft class, even over a Bryce Young. 52.3 points right now in fantasy, only 15% ownership stake. And I mean, we would take this over Justin Fields in a heartbeat right now, except that he's got a terrible matchup versus Pittsburgh Steelers. And Blitzburg is back, man. They're just bum rushing the quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud should have a very tough day, even though this rookie does look very impressive. You got to believe that there's got to be interceptions coming this week and a lot of pressure, but he is spreading the ball around to all of his wide receivers, and you got to love it. C.J. Stroud is a definite top priority quarterback for y'all. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, finds his way on my list because, okay, everyone's saying, why would I pick up Andy Dalton? If you got struggling quarterback play, why wouldn't you pick up Andy Dalton, man? 23.5 points this past week. This guy understands what his role is now in the NFL. His career is on the latter stages. He will not play in this league for another 5 years. He knows it's enjoy the time that you got left and just sling that ball and hope you can bring your team to victory. Playing against the Minnesota Vikings this week is a fantastic matchup for an Andy Dalton, and they got wide receivers that can catch and that can play, man. If you can do a lot worse than Andy Dalton this week, I'm telling y'all, if you're really struggling for quarterback spots, even super flex leagues, the Red Rifle is back for me this week. I think that another 20-point spot versus the Minnesota Vikings is definitely not out of the question for this man. Kenny Pickett, small hands Pickett. At least, this Pittsburgh Steelers offense did look a lot better. Okay, they're going to have to continue to move forward. I'm not a big supporter of offensive coordinator Matt Canada, but Kenny Pickett in this offense did look better. I got to see it a little bit more before we can trust it wholeheartedly, but Pickett is now back on the notable addition list. Jameis Winston now with Derek Carr with the AC joint. And I mean, everybody's saying it's week to week, but with an AC joint, it's extremely difficult to even lift your arms above your head, man. This is going to be bad news for a Derek Carr, especially on the throwing shoulder. He could likely be out for 4 weeks-ish, man, depending on pain tolerance, how this man does recover quickly. Jameis Winston is back on the fantasy radar, which will uplift guys like a Michael Thomas and pull back from a Chris Olave, unfortunately, because Jameis Winston is more comfortable with Michael Thomas slam boy than he is with Chris Olave at this point, but we'll see. It could change, but Winston has proven that he can sling this ball, and he could be fantasy viable once again, but it does come with turnovers and interceptions. No kidding about that. Baker Mayfield, the Bake Show. He's trustworthy. I mean, at this point, you could do a lot worse than Baker Mayfield as well. Yes, he didn't look great on Monday Night Football versus the Eagles, but that defensive front is just a baller, and nobody's going to look good, to elite levels versus the Eagles front seven. But, I mean, at least Baker Mayfield, 50 points almost, 18% ownership rate. Again, you're struggling at quarterbacks. You can definitely play matchup play with a Baker Mayfield. Matthew Stafford, 46% ownership, and he right now is like the objective of safe points. This is all you get, 10 to 15, and it's good. I mean, okay, you could do a lot worse, like I'm saying, with Daniel Jones. Daniel Penny's, who's giving you 1 to 5 points in certain contests. Matthew Stafford's he's not going to go over the 20-point threshold unless, he has an absolute blow-up game, but at least he's getting you the 10 to 15 where you're looking for safe points with Matthew Stafford. I will look in other directions. Mac Money Jones, Sam Howell, and Dobbs on the list to finish it out for quarterbacks. Pick your poison here, matchup play. I told y'all Sam Howell was going to be humbled by the Buffalo Bills defense, which is exactly what happened. But he will be still good. They'll lick their wounds, and they'll move forward. Sam Howell's still fantasy viable with 42 points. Dobbs looks good right now. These surprising Arizona Cardinals, 43.3 points. So, again, you think matchup play even for Dobbs, but they took it to the Dallas Cowboys defense. It's supposed to be one of the best in the business, and Dobbs made them look silly. Wide receiver time. There's a plethora of talent here at the wide receiver spot, and I told y'all last week, Tank Dell should not be on your waiver wire. Still only owned in 26% of leagues. Shame on y'all for not listening. Tank Dell is a stellar talent, Mr. Electric, and if he gets the ball in his hand like a Zay Flowers type of player, he will repay you. Yes, that deep shot came late in the game, but this is at any point in the contest. Tank Dell could absolutely uplift your fantasy team. Believe he had over 20 points this past week. Tank Dell is a high priority, just like a Devin A-Chain. Get Tank Dell on your roster immediately. Mike Williams goes down with the ACL injury, and everyone's talking up rookie Quentin Johnston. I'm telling you, I'll pump the brakes on that one because vets get the preferential treatment, and Josh Palmer is going to be that guy instantly to be inserted into this offense. He's got chemistry with a Justin Herbert. He knows this playbook. He knows this offense, and Coach Staley is more comfortable with a Palmer. He will be the number one guy. Not to say that, Quentin Johnston is not going to get, good snaps and good playing time with Mike Williams out. I'm defaulting first to Josh Palmer at this point. You guys can pick your poison. I'm recommending Palmer over a Quentin Johnston at this point. Adam Thielen, there's still some tread left in these tires, 45 points, and with a red rifle, he will uplift this wide receiver room like we saw versus Seattle Seahawks. DJ Chark, likewise, 18 points. He is on the notable list. So if you got Adam Thielen still sitting on that waiver wire, PPR upside for days, baby, and he will again promote this week versus these Minnesota Vikings, which is a revenge game. So definitely get Adam Thielen because he's going to have a big day. No kidding, man. Dobbs from the Green Bay Packers, Romeo Dobbs. I mean, he's still, Jordan Love, man. I told y'all in the offseason, he was one of my gems, late-round gems that we needed to get, and Jordan Love is for real. He looks damn good. He came back after playing poor early on, and Dobbs is a big part of this offense. Get him on your bench. Play for matchup, play 110%. Rashid Shaheed, he is, field burner. Like I said, boomer bust potential every single week for this man. You get the ball in his hands, he can make a house call. He is a deep shot threat, and he will be a compliment in this offense, except he is likely the fourth now with Alvin Kamara, for target share. So he's just on the notable list. If you're struggling for big plays and you want to go for the top end point productivity, it is going to be boomer bust every week. But Shaheed is definitely on the fantasy radar. Marvin Mims. They found something. I told y'all in Start Sit, they found something the week before. Yes, he did save his day with that kick or punt return that he took back to the house for the touchdown, but Marvin Mims is going to be a fixture in this offense. They're going to try to give him the ball that much more. Russell Wilson is, at least spreading the ball around, even though the Denver Broncos lost by, they had left to 70 points on the board. Never seen anything like it outside of a Madden game, but I'm telling y'all, Marvin Mims is definitely there. As we get to week number 8, halfway point of the season, a lot of these wide receivers, these rookies, will be utilized a lot more, especially for teams with losing records, because they want to see what they have on the roster. Rashee Rice pops back on the list. Hard to trust in this Kansas City offense right now because we don't know where Patrick Mahomes is going to be spreading the ball, 100% outside of a Travis Kelce. Okay, they're still trying to figure it out. They got a talented roster. Rice is at least back on the list. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees. He could start taking a step back in this offense with the evolution of a Tank Dell. Nico Collins still looking good. But, Robert Woods at some point will still have a role, but it's going to likely, be instead of 10, 11 points, we're going to see it go down to 6.5 to 7.5 points. That's kind of the, mantra of where Bobby Trees Woods is going. Josh Downs found his way also on my notable list. He got, 8 catches, 57 yards, at least with Gardner Minshew trying to find this rookie. This guy's going to be a PPR darling in the next coming weeks. So if you have room, Josh Downs is definitely one of these guys I'm snagging and putting him on my bench because it is coming. We did see it. I just been waiting for one of these games where they just continue to pepper him with targets, and then Minshew actually found him. And then you got Austin from these Pittsburgh Steelers, like a Shaheed, boomer bust product who can rip the field, down the field, and score you touchdowns. Finishing it off with tight ends, Gerald Everett is on my list. Probably, it's very difficult with tight ends, man. It is a crapshoot of dismay because we can't get a lot of point productivity from these big men. Okay, but Gerald Everett with the loss of Mike Williams should, like a Josh Palmer, see an influx of targets to come his way to help a Justin Herbert. So now Gerald Everett, he did see some target share, only 15 points on the season, 32% ownership. He will likely give you some decent point productivity, except they're using Donald Parham all the time in this red zone. Parham's got 24 points. He's on the bottom of my list. You're not touching that at this point. He's just on here for deeper leagues. because he can't fade 24 points and, obvious, red zone upside for this man from Justin Herbert. Zach Ertz still on the list with the evolution of a Dobbs. He should continue to be on your roster potentially for matchup play. 48% ownership, 15 points right now. It's not great, but Zach Ertz is still a very talented tight end that should continue to, produce points as this Arizona Cardinals team continues to surprise us every single week. Luke Musgrave, 17 points. He's starting to look good. And I mean, this Green Bay Packers team is extremely youthful week in, week out. We're seeing how Jordan Love is building chemistry with all of them. Musgrave is definitely on the notable waiver wire list. Logan Thomas, if he does come back from this concussion, he got lit up by Jackson from the Denver Broncos. If he clears, I think he is a viable fantasy player because Sam Howell is still looking to the check down. He's looking to the safety blanket, and Logan Thomas was that in the first 2 weeks. So if he does come back this week, you're struggling at tight end. Logan Thomas is definitely one we can look at in that direction. Ferguson from these Dallas Cowboys. Very tough to trust Ferguson because, okay, they did not look great this past week versus the Cardinals, and I don't know what's going on with these Dallas Cowboys. So hot and cold. Yes, they had a blowout win week 1 versus the Giants. Offense didn't see the field much, so it's very tough to trust them right now. Almost like they don't have the chemistry build that we expected already by week 4. But Ferguson is definitely here on the list as well because Dak Prescott still loves his tight ends. Hayden Hurst might take a back seat to Adam Thielen and DJ Chark now with Andy Dalton throwing the ball. Andy Dalton is very comfortable throwing a wide receiver, so Hayden Hurst, outside of matchup play and red zone appeal, he will take a back seat to his wide receivers. Rounded it out with Dawson Knox and Granson at the tight end spot. Knox still has a role as, the Bills try to continue to, get Dalton Kincaid involved in this offense. And until Dalton Kincaid actually has his blow-up game like a Sam Laporta had, I think that Dawson Knox will still continue to have a decent role on this offense, but he will have a role for the entire season because the Buffalo Bills are utilizing 12-man personnel a lot this season, so Knox and Kincaid eventually could be a very formidable 1-2 punch at the tight end spot. But there you have it. That is week 4 waiver wire must-add players. Devin Achane and Tank Dell are my guys this week that you got to be going for with a CJ Stroud, top players. But like I said, you got to start building some of these handcuffs at the running back spot because, by the time we get to week 8, we're going to see a lot of changeover for the running back position. So definitely get your insurance policy with these handcuff running backs. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.